Survivor's ready.
If anybody has a hidden immunity idol and you want to play it, now would be the time to do so.
The queen stays queen.
You said rustle feathers.
Did you do that?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to talk lamely. We have ripe bananas all the time.
Dude, my prize isn't even $1 million. My prize was that I fell in love in this game. Love at first sight. Her name is Candace.
You officially go down as the dumbest survivor ever.
Welcome to Not Game, All Personal. Hey, we are a Survivor podcast here to talk about all things Survivor, more specifically the events of this past week, episode 2 of season 47. I'm Nathan. This is Tony. Hello, Tony. Welcome back to another Survivor podcast.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here. I love being on this podcast and talking Survivor.
Well, you're in luck because we got Survivor to talk about. We have another
Let's talk about Survivor.
episode, season 47, Tribal Council. Some bizarre things are happening. How are we feeling on the season? 2 episodes in, you know, Survivor takes a while to get going. Are we feeling like we're warming up to it? Are we getting to know some players?
Definitely getting to know some players. Still in a spot where it's like, still need an episode or two to really sink in and feel like I know what's happening and everything that's going on. But I mean, I'm warming up to it. Some interesting things are happening. Some people are making moves, making decisions that I don't know if they're correct or not. So that makes it interesting.
Oh, I love that. I love that tease. Cannot wait to hear who you think's making incorrect decisions.
You got thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things that, like, I don't know how I'm supposed to have a take on this yet, right? It's like, I think, like, do I like these people more than the premiere episode? Absolutely. Are there still some that I pull up the list and I'm like, who is Genevieve? Absolutely. So we're working through it. I do have thoughts. There are things to talk about. Starting off, though, who do you think, out of all the people on the show, has the most confessional counts so far?
Ooh. It feels like it's got to be someone from Tuku or Gata. I'm going to go with... It's got to be Andy, right?
It is not Andy. Andy's not top 5?
Gabe.
He might be 5th. Gabe is the 2nd. There is someone who has had one more confessional than Gabe. It is Sam.
Oh, I was going to say Sam.
That kind of surprised me a little. I think it makes sense hearing it and thinking back to everything he did in this past episode especially. But he had the most confessionals in episode 2, which is a little shocking for someone who didn't go to Tribal Council. Usually it's like the Tribal Council tribe that gets the airtime, but for whatever reason, we saw a lot of Sam. I don't know what that means. I just wanted to throw that out to start because that shocked me seeing it on paper.
I would guess like Rome is up there too, right?
Rome had the 2nd most from his tribe.
Like I feel like if you're finding idols, it makes sense that they're like up there. But I guess if he's 2nd most from his tribe just last night, maybe not.
Yeah, no, Teeny had more confessionals than him on episode 2.
Teeny made some wild decisions. We can hold off for now. That's wild. I mean, Sam, I think I feel like he's well spoken and like I don't know. He probably goes far if we're getting this much from him. I think, right? Or he's a flash in the pan. You never know.
It's so hard to tell. And I'll be honest, the results of this tribal was something that I would have assumed would have lingered a little bit and something that they were building towards. And then when it just happened, I was like, oh, okay. It's just, spoiler alert, TK's just going right now. Wow. Like that was a little surprising to me.
A little bit longer.
Just a little bit, you know? It felt like there was some tension building. Like, I don't know if I really thought Sue was going to go, but then when it was just, like, clearly obvious that it's like, oh, no, it's just straight up TK. We're just burning right through it. I don't know.
It was left out in the dark.
Dude, he was heartbroken.
He should have been. He didn't deserve that.
No, man. Especially just sitting at here with the tied for the lowest confessional count of the season. Poor guy. Yeah, I hope he recovers.
I like Kyle.
Yeah. I mean, you just want to talk about Tuku immediately. I feel like that's
absolutely.
That's where all the juice is, right? It was pretty much tribal council was possibly going to be a split vote going to Rocks. That's the way a lot of people were ready for it. With the boys, TK, Kyle, Gabe, with Tiana, kind of in this alliance against Caroline and Sue. Little did they know, Gabe was working both sides, so it was potentially going to be a 3-3 split, and then they got Tiana to switch over. I am a little surprised how middle ground Gabe is playing this game right now. He was really like a big factor in the way that these votes kind of shifted.
Yeah.
And I'm very fascinated to see his game long term to see how this works out for him.
It's he played his idol tonight, right?
He played it on himself, yep.
I was sitting here looking at it like, why doesn't it say he has an idol? Because I completely forgot. It didn't do anything. He just played it for funsies.
He knew where the votes were going, still played it himself, whatever.
He did. And like gathering the votes for your side makes sense, and it worked out well. It never needed to go to a 3-3 split. It never did. Like he could have just played his idol for Sue, and they would have been fine. But for some reason, that wasn't. He never like really had that as an option, and he just played it for. I don't know. It was interesting that was a discussion that he was having, of it being a 3-3 split.
Well, it was. I think it made sense because at one point he mentioned not wanting to play his idol, so he's like, if I can get a fourth vote, I don't have to play my idol. So it didn't make sense when he did decide to play his idol, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait. So you're playing your idol on yourself when you have a good idea. You never know, but you have a really, really good idea of where the votes are going to go. So I don't know. I don't know about that move, but then again, I guess like if you are thinking it could go to Rocks, I guess that is protection for yourself, to leave yourself out of that equation.
Suppose.
So I don't know. And again, I think it's hard to judge poor idol plays when we saw, what was it, 5 people last season go home with idols in their pocket. So at least we're not joining that trend.
I think playing an idol wrong, but playing for it for yourself shouldn't be as much of a negative as it feels like it is.
Yeah.
Especially because, and I've been watching, like, as we've been watching, having an idol makes you such a big target. I don't want to have an idol. If even a single person knows that I have an idol, I want to get rid of that thing ASAP because I just don't want to deal with all the repercussions that come with that. And so maybe, I don't know, that would be my thought process too. If I felt like somebody knew I had an idol, I would play that thing. Just to get it off my, like, yep, I played my idol. I don't have one anymore, so you guys don't have to worry about that. It feels like the move to me, but...
Well, and the tough thing too is, there is that rule, like in the game, that when you have an idol, you have to tell someone immediately. So it is tough to, like, watch players have to deal with that, And then there's also the rule that if someone tells you about someone else having an idol, that you have to tell someone. So, I don't know. It's tough playing with these new rules because back in the day, you were allowed to, like, keep things to yourself.
And now you're just not for some. Yeah, and like they don't even talk about the new rule. They just kind of let it happen, which is always kind of stunning.
Right, like, and it's tough sometimes because sometimes people like almost break the rule by like holding on to information for too long. So I'm glad to see like this season is no different. That like once we get any sort of advantage, that the first thing we do is we run and tell the first person we see. So I'm glad that is still the trend because I don't know. Sometimes they scare me. Someone's like, "Oh, you better tell someone soon. You're kind of holding on to this for a little too long."
Do you think there's zero value to telling somebody about an idol or an advantage? Like, do you think it's always a negative?
I think the past few seasons have made me think that, yes.
Okay. To be clear, that whole thing that we just did was sarcastic. I assume everybody got that, but just to be clear, you don't have to tell
I would have
them.
kept going the
You
whole
probably
episode if you wanted to.
But I'm curious because, like, it has galvanized people together before, being like, hey, I have an idol and we're super close knit alliance, so we're going to use it together. But I feel like they usually do that right before they use it. And so it's like a quick tell them and use it, and then it's not a thing anymore. I don't know.
I think part of it is there used to be more respect for like the surprise idol, like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why it's coming to mind, but like when Parvati plays her idol in Heroes vs Villains, and Russell's like, "Oh, you've been hiding something from me," and it's more of a sign of respect rather than like
Mm-hmm.
you hid this. But now people almost feel betrayed if you don't tell them information right away,
Yeah.
which is really lame. Like if you were to pull out a surprise idol at Tribal Council, your alliance is gonna be like, "Why didn't they tell me? Are they not
Mm-hmm.
working with me? Why?" So like I think that's definitely part of it where it is now viewed as like if you know something, you better tell me because if you don't, then we're not working together, which
Yeah.
is stupid. But also, I think the past few seasons just have shown that like everyone is just telling everyone everything because the second you learn information, now anyone else you're working with also needs to know that. Otherwise, they're not going to trust you. So that carries
Yeah.
over into every relationship you have. And so if you have any sort of advantage over your alliance member and they find that out, they're going to be threatened by you.
I think the Sam situation, and I know we're talking about the Blue Tribe right now, but the Sam situation is like a very interesting example of that because Aniko was with him when he found it, and that was not the person that he wanted to be with him because you had to tell Sierra because Sierra was that person he's actually closest to, and somebody already knows. But then he also had to tell Rachel because he knew that Aniko would probably tell Rachel, so he had to be the one to break that news. Like, yeah, you can't assume that information will ever be kept to yourself, and so you have to fill everybody in. Otherwise, yeah, you're the bad guy, and you kept information from them, and
So
they file that away.
I think my favorite example from the night was the Red Tribe with Rome
Yeah.
finding it. Because that
Mm-hmm.
was just like the perfect like I'm gonna use this to like build trust with Teeny, which apparently is like the person that everyone needs to build trust with on this tribe. And then Teeny's first move is like, oh, I'm gonna use this to further my relationship with this person. And that, so it's like
Yep.
I think that's the example where it's like you need to tell the next person because I don't know, for whatever reason, like keeping information to yourself just isn't as valuable anymore.
Information is power, and using it to create, like, you want to use it to create allies, but there's also power in not doing that. Like, if somebody tells me about an idol, like, if somebody tells me, hey, I found an idol, it might be more valuable to me to tell somebody that they found an idol than to just hold that information that someone else, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
No,
if
I
you find
agree.
it, yeah, like if you're being told about somebody finding an idol, it's almost more valuable for you to share that information.
Yeah.
Which is
I
why
would
you don't tell
agree with
anyone when you find
that.
one in the first place.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if you're the person finding it, like let's just test it out. Let's see how it goes if you don't tell
Mm-hmm.
anyone. Like let's just lay it out and see what happens. I'm down for something new because it's just comical at this point how for whatever reason this new era we talk about it every single season. Every time someone has an advantage, it's now just a tribe advantage.
Mm-hmm.
It's out in the open. There's no kept secrets because we're working together. So why would we keep anything from each other? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it's a game of Survivor. You're supposed to keep things from each other.
There would be. I remember watching seasons where it'd be like somebody finds an idol at the first like try, like in the first couple episodes, and then it's like 6 episodes later, and you're like, oh right, they just have an idol in their pocket that they've had this whole time and haven't told anybody about. Like that was so common. I would just watch Blood versus Water and watch Tyson do that. Like that's just how you did it. And for some reason now people are just incapable of doing that.
Right.
Or I
Uh,
feel like they get caught finding it a lot more than they used to.
that's true too. And I do
That's
think
the
part
risk
of
with the beware
that
that I think is intentional. Sorry to cut you
yeah,
off.
I think it probably is intentional. And I think it's also there is such a pattern now to how these advantages play out, where like
Hmm.
everyone knows there's gonna be like at the start, which is again is why we need to freaking mix it up, Jeff Probst. Like let's stop starting off with 3 tribes and having
Hmm.
an advantage at each camp. It's like there's an idol on your camp or beware advantage, whatever it is. You know there's an advantage hidden at your camp. So chances are one of these 6 people have it. So if you don't
Hmm.
have it, and if you've been with this person all day, then you know what I mean? So it's like I think the odds are much more likely to catch someone doing that. I think if it's a tribe of 2, maybe there's more room to split off because you can't keep track of all, 9 other people on your tribe and
Yeah,
maybe there's
honestly.
not an idol within the first few days of camp. Maybe so it's like the fact
Hmm.
is there is such a pattern, there's such a routine for how these advantages are given out that it makes it incredibly hard to keep a secret because everyone knows when they're supposed to be in play.
Yeah, absolutely. There is that factor. Yeah, you can. It's really easy to do the math with 6 people, and so it's really easy to know what's going on and where they're going. And it's so there's always been the negative connotation to like going and searching, being the first one caught looking for an advantage. But then sometimes tribes will just all go out. Yeah, that's also a very interesting thing where it's like such a bad thing to be looking, but everybody's looking. But
Well,
you
the
don't want to
fact
be
that
caught
every
looking.
single season we wind up at this point where there's a search party where it's like, hey, all
Mm-hmm.
6 of us are going to go out and start looking, and whoever finds it will report back. Like that happens every season where it's just a
Mm-hmm.
group search, and that would never happen. Can you imagine like if a whole tribe back in like the 20s, season 20s that is, like just went out
Mm-hmm.
and started looking? That's insane
1920s.
to me.
Yeah.
Back in the 20s when I played Survivor, we
When I
died
like
from a
ran,
disease.
when because for those of you listening that don't know, I ran a game of Survivor with one bunch of my friends. They like as soon as they were at their camp, a couple of them were already searching for the idol, and then everybody else just kind of joined in. There was no like, oh, I don't trust you because you're searching for the idol. Everybody else was like, yeah, I also want to find it, and so everybody was looking super hard. And so I don't know. Yeah, but once again, you want an excuse to vote someone out. It's an easy excuse, and it's this
Yeah.
this line that I feel like we constantly toe, where it's frustrating that people are getting voted out for these reasons, but sometimes you're just looking for any reason to vote them out.
Yep, it's true. Yeah, idols.
But
What are you
that's
gonna
not why
do?
TK got voted out at all.
It's now. I just
Um,
got a rant off of Gabe's idol play. Yeah, TK got voted out. People just didn't really like him. I think that was the main part, right?
I think they liked him. It was just he did come off extremely poorly when he was like, "I don't hang out with losers. I don't lose," and just like lose. Like you want to lose with grace, and you want to be like, fine and get over it and move on. You don't have to be depressed every time you lose, and that's kind of the vibe that he was giving off.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there was definitely the bromance. That was a factor to an
Mm-hmm.
extent. Sue definitely had issues with him talking a lot. Uh, and I think that's kind of what pushed Tiana a little bit too, where Tiana was pretty much like, "Look, I know this is Tribe's strength, but at the same time, I just don't really like working with him. So I got to decide, like,
Mm-hmm.
is this someone that I don't have to like but can work with, or if I don't like him, should I get rid of him?" And it seems like that's kind of what it landed on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, another week where it seems like Tribe strength isn't a priority, but the fact that it didn't harm Yellow, maybe Blue still got something in them.
Yeah, I feel like these challenges are designed so that that doesn't affect it as much.
Yeah.
Like that's just kind of how it goes. They try so hard to make it so that just because you're strong doesn't mean that you're going to be good.
Which is interesting because I wonder if we could see a point where that balance is just way off. Because to me, the logic is always like, do we keep someone that we're close with, or do we keep someone that's going to help us win challenges? And so if if someone who is good at challenges just isn't a factor in the vote anymore, where it's like we can win tomorrow's challenges with or without them, I don't know if that's like great for the game.
I don't think it would be great for the game, but I don't think we're approaching that necessarily because I think like the last few seasons have been examples of there's always one tribe that just kind of gets decimated because they decide to go tribe loyalty over tribe strength, and we kind of see that work out. And so just because this season that happens to not be how it's going, I don't think that means that that's not how it is.
I hope that's not how it is, and I hope that
Mm-hmm.
we don't see it because I don't think I can handle another season where it's the same tribe going over and over. So far
It
so
would be
good.
interesting to make it more physically taxing so that hopefully, because in an ideal world is you give them a scenario where they have to pick between loyalty and tribe strength, and it's a 50-50 what they pick, and like them making a decision has consequences. So
Hmm.
you pick somebody who's more loyal, but you lose. Like you kind of want that, or do you want it because it's boring just watching one tribe get decimated? But like, yeah, you want consequences, and you want there to be equal opportunity for them to go either direction.
Yeah.
But
Yep,
there's
I
always only
agree.
like one or two really strong people on each tribe, so that makes it hard too because they're always going to be down in the numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, but I think like I don't know. Like, I don't really view Blue at that much of a disadvantage, with TK. Like, obviously, I think on initial impression, like, he would be, like, the strong one of the tribe, but it's like, I
Yeah.
don't know. I think Kyle and Gabe could hold their own as far as, like, the
Mm-hmm.
males go, and even, like, Sue might be the weakest, but, like, Tiana and Carolyn don't look, like, incompetent when it comes to physical strength, so I don't know. I think they'll be okay. I think this season might be the shift.
All right.
That's my take.
Hot take.
Who else on Blue do
I
you
kinda
want to
like
talk about?
I like Tiana. I don't know why. I think I don't know. She's an interesting player to me. Maybe she's the D of the year for me. That was a weird thing to say. But you know what I mean. Uh,
D as in the player.
yeah, the player
Yeah,
DEE.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I like her. I think she's killing it. She did. I feel like in that situation, I think she did do what was best for her, kind of falling in line with the rest of the alliance, even though she will be towards the bottom. Yeah, going to rocks
Yeah.
is never any fun.
Well, that's the thing. I'm so curious on her position now because Kyle seems to be the odd man out in the vote, and if
Mm-hmm.
Gabe, Carolyn, and Sue are working together as a three, and Kyle is the bottom, then Tiana, I would assume, is the next bottom. Because it's not like
Mm-hmm.
Tiana had a strong bond with the other girls. It's not like
No.
she has a strong bond with Gabe. So I don't know. Like I'm curious to see like if they go again, is the natural vote just to be Kyle again, or does something else shift? It's really hard to tell. Like if there is a true bottom right now.
Yeah, the dynamics are interesting. It seems like Kyle would be the bottom, Tiana would be next out, and then that three gets where things get interesting. It's tough to really. It's so early in the season. I feel like we're just speculating. Like it's tough to even really tell when we don't have that much information yet.
No, it's really just based on like Carolyn, Gabe, and Sue kind of have this established
Mm-hmm.
three-person alliance. But again, that's based on like two conversations. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I'm interested, but we'll see.
I have a question for you before we move on from Blue.
Okay,
This
hit me.
episode was titled "Epic Boss Girl Move." Who made an epic boss girl move?
Was it really named that?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm sure. I feel like Sue probably said that at some point, but I don't know that Sue made a move there. It felt like a Gabe move more than anything.
I think by default it would have to be Tiana
Maybe.
because without her they go to rocks.
Yeah, I could see that.
So I don't know because like she's the only one. Yeah, because like Sue is obviously. I don't think Sue made a move. I think she voted not her, right? Like she voted for
Yeah.
the other option.
Yeah, exactly.
So like if we're looking at girl boss, assuming a girl boss is a female, right? I think that's the definition.
Boss girl move.
Boss
Not boss
girl?
girl, not girl boss.
Wait, boss girl? Well, that's
Boss girl
just
move.
incorrect. The term is
No,
girl boss, right?
it's just a different thing. It's just a different thing.
Epic boss girl. So are we saying girl move and epic boss is the description? Like, oh, dude, that girl move, that was epic boss.
No, I think it's epic boss girl move.
So boss girl is the person.
It's a
Epic.
girl who's like a boss, but not like a boss where you're like in charge of somebody, but boss.
Well, that's
like,
what I'm saying.
man,
But
they're
like,
cool.
the term is girl boss. That girl boss is the thing people say.
But girl
People don't
boss
say
is
boss girl.
a boss who's a girl.
So you're saying boss girl doesn't have to be a girl?
I'm saying boss girl doesn't have to like actually be like a boss, as in like in charge of people. Like my manager, who's a woman, is a girl boss.
So
She's not necessarily a boss girl.
I understand. So girl boss is a boss who's a girl. Boss girl is a girl who is doing something that is boss like.
Yes,
Okay, I understand.
but not occupational boss like. But
I
like,
understand.
Man,
I'm
like a
glad
boss, you know?
I'm glad we're breaking this down.
Yep, this is important stuff.
Yeah, I think it's got to be Tiana, but that feels like a weird thing to label this episode as.
Yep, I agree. It doesn't feel like that fits at all, but sure.
I think the only logical ways make sense is because there was such an emphasis on like this bromance. So it's like, we infiltrated, we like split them up. They were going to be so strong, and but like that doesn't really feel like that was the narrative of why they were voting like that. That might have been what Sue was bringing up, but like I don't think Tiana was like, "That's a good point. I gotta break up the boys." Like I don't think that was it.
That's always a conversation, wanting to break up the boys or break up the girls.
Yeah, people are so worried about that. When was the last time like one of those actually was a thing? Like
we had a situation where there were 6 girls to 2 guys in Big Brother this year, and they just didn't do anything with that. They just voted out a couple girls and
because it
evened it out.
is almost never a factor, So
No.
let's stop worrying about all the boys grouping together. Let's stop worrying about an all-girl alliance. It's not gonna happen. You're fine.
So do we want to do yellow or red?
Let's do yellow.
Okay. It's the Sam show.
It's the Sam show. A little bit of
and the Andy show.
Andy show. What did you think of Andy's move? Not taking the beware advantage.
Not great. I mean, I don't know. I don't hate it. I like that somebody finally did it. And I think it was, but in his situation, it seems really foolish. When he's clearly at the bottom, but they've been doing so much like cheering for him that he feels like he's a part of the team now. So maybe he's just comfortable. Like they really just made him super comfortable.
The cheering was so weird.
When you're
that was so weird.
When you know that you were the other vote and the one that people talked about the last tribal, getting an idol is not a negative thing. And so you probably should have just taken it. I feel like you wanted to do something nobody's ever done, but that if it's not valuable to your game, don't do something no one's ever done.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I really liked the move, and as it was happening, I turned to my wife and I said, I love that someone's doing this. I hate that it's Andy that's doing this.
Yeah.
Because if this works, I'm going to have a real hard time being like, look at this. He's a strategist. He told Jeff. He told he called it.
Yep.
So I really liked the move up until the point that it didn't work. So I think I hate the move. I think that's which is just complete hindsight. Like, duh. But yeah, I'm glad someone tried it. But I think you're right. I think like that move only works if you're in a position where you can afford not having an idol. And I don't know if he's in that position.
Sam did it. I think it would have been more interesting to see Sam do it.
I also, am I crazy in thinking the beware part, like the punishment, the risk, isn't as strong as other seasons? Because it feels like everyone is just accomplishing this, whereas previous seasons in this era, a lot more people would take it and then not have a vote for like 2 tribal councils.
Yeah, but I think they're getting caught. Like Sam got caught in front of everybody or caught when he was with Annika, so she kind of helped him. That made it a little bit easier. But we watched we watched Gabe get caught, I think, trying to get the key. And so like I think the goal is to have to do something in front of the rest of your tribe. And then Rome got caught diving in the well, basically. So everybody's suspicious of him. So it's losing your vote, but then also like you have to risk getting caught to do it, and then that raises your threat level. So I think there is some risk to it for sure.
Yeah.
Just in that aspect of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just think
and having to lug around a big box too.
Yeah, that's true. I just think Andy may have been operating more so in the fact that like I know what this leads to. This often leads to people not having their vote. This often leads to like this. So I wonder if he was aware that this was like this idol was at least achievable, even if people knew, if he'd be more likely to take it.
Well, that's the twist of the game. It's never like identical to what it was before.
That's true. They really have been mixing it up season to season.
They have with the beware advantage. It's not the same thing every time.
Yeah,
and this
you're
one's
right.
interesting where you do a more challenging challenge to get a more powerful idol and smaller boxes. It's fun.
That's genius. Keep it up.
I'm having fun.
Keep it up. I'm glad.
I'm having fun.
I don't. Sure. Okay. I'm happy for you.
You don't care that I'm having fun? That's actually just
I care that you're having fun. I do not care at all about this change up. I don't know. I had to stop thinking about the format that Survivor is in because I get incredibly frustrated the more I think about how we are just doing the same thing season to season.
It's not
So.
good.
um,
I was having a conversation with someone recently, and I was like, yeah, with my buddy who's like watching through all of them. So I think you're gonna hate the first couple seasons of season 40, and the fact that they all blend together isn't good. Like the different themes and the different everything was good, and it like brought recognition to what's happening. But now it just blends together, and it's not great.
yeah, no,
But they're all
and
slight variations.
I feel like we play this game almost every single week now, where it's like I name someone from 42 or 43, and it's incredibly difficult for you to tell me which one they were actually on.
I could nail it, no matter who you name.
You think you could? All right, I'll
Yep.
get a name ready. In the meantime, talk to me more about what does Andy need to do here? Do you think Andy's safe? Do you think Sam's actually going to protect him for as long as he says he is?
He's gonna try to. I don't know how well that's gonna go. Who did Sam say he wanted to go for? Annika or Rachel?
I think it was Rachel. Now I'm not sure though. One of the two. Yeah, I mean, it
'Cause he's
felt like
already starting to lose Sierra just because he's already like you don't want to turn on the people that you just started working with. That's
yeah.
never a good sign for people you're working with, unless they
Mhm.
agree that they did something funky,
Yeah.
which I don't think those three did.
No, I'm very curious, and I do want to see. I mean, I want to see every tribal council to get a better
Mm-hmm.
idea of what things are. But like this one especially, I am fascinated by because I do wonder if Sam is pushing too hard to keep Andy when this
Mm-hmm.
should be a rather easy vote. You know, like your tribe seemingly has a free week of tribal council. You know, assuming
Yeah.
that no one flips, which is also a scary thing, right? Because this is also the easiest vote flip to blindside someone when there
Mm-hmm.
is an obvious target.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why we saw people like Q last season, like he was the target every single week
Yeah.
because everyone kept him using him as a blindside, as a
Mm-hmm.
mirage for some. So I don't know. I do understand why it's like let's just keep this guy. But I don't know. I there is a maybe twisted part of me that would love to see Andy at the merge to see how other people like would do people just clap for him immediately knowing that
I
that's a
hope
thing for
so.
him? Like
Man, I hope
do
so.
they just get to the new beach like Andy, yay?
You gotta clap for him, otherwise you don't believe in him. You don't like him.
Does
Yeah,
he
he's one of those players that you want to keep around just because you want to just see them interact with the world, continue to just be around and do stuff. I'm all in on that.
Well, especially like if he gets mad because you don't clap over the coconuts, can you imagine how upset he'd be if you vote him out? He's gonna be like, "You voted me out. You must not like me." You know, there's no way his I like no offense to him, okay? This might sound mean. There is no way his brain can settle with being voted out and having
Mm-hmm.
someone still like you as a person. I don't know if he's going to recover from that one.
No,
If he thinks not clapping over a coconut means you don't like him, writing down his name.
so I saw someone post, and they were like, "Yes, it was a stupid like example of where he saw that, but he did correctly identify that he was on the outside and that people weren't all in on him like they were with other people. Like he wasn't
Sure.
incorrect in his conclusion. The example of how he knew wasn't great, but it doesn't mean he was wrong."
I would say the explanation was off, but also
Well, that
the
entire
re-
speech about "they hate me here" was bad.
well, I was gonna say the reaction, and I think that's what
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about. So it's like, yes, he can identify he's at the bottom, but what's his response gonna be when he's correct in being at the bottom? It's not gonna be
Yeah.
good, and that's where I'm
Nope.
like, if he gets voted out, man, I don't know.
You're like, I don't want to be there if he gets voted out.
I feel for the guy. Okay, I'm gonna name you a name. Okay, ready?
Yep.
Ryan.
Ooh, Ryan. I remember Ryan. He did like the Paralympics or something, right?
Ryan? Did he?
I think so. Bigger guy, right?
I have
Ooh.
Warehouse Associate right now. I'll open up his wiki to see if I got something more.
He was on the same season as Gio, which also doesn't help because they were both out super early.
I mean, Ryan made it to
Ryan.
1, 2,
Because that's
3,
not
4,
fair if
5,
there's
6,
multiple
7.
Ryans.
Ryan came in 9th. I don't know. He made the merge.
Yeah. But Gio's in that season, right?
Gio's on that season.
Okay. They were the Blue Tribe. Who else was on that tribe? My first.
It's blending in. Just admit it's blending in.
No, I can do this. I know that Gio's there.
Uh-huh.
Can't think of anybody else that's there.
The fact,
I mean, 40.
Yeah, it's 40. All right, you got it. 43.
Let's go. Give me another one. This is fun. Maybe we'll play this game after we get done. They don't have to listen to us.
I'll give you one more. Okay?
Okay.
I think one more is valid. Okay. But I do want to point out it took you a minute. Okay.
It did, but I got there.
We're gonna say high.
Genie. High? 41.
Yeah. 42.
I was so confident.
Oh, High was on the Green Tribe with
Dang it.
Mike, Chanel, Lydia. Remember Lydia?
He was, yeah. Lydia?
Lydia.
I don't remember Lydia.
That was the
all.
thing. I tried not to pull out like, pre-merge because that would have felt like a little cheap.
I was expecting like a Genie or what's the dude in like 42? Brad.
Oh yeah,
I was
the dude in 42. Brad was in 41, my guy. Brad and
41.
Brad and Genie were on the same. See, you're just proving. Even though you're getting them, you're still proving my point. That's the
I'm
thing.
killing it. I think if you gave me 8 of them, I'd get 7 of them.
7 out of 8. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull out 8 right now. Okay. Ready?
We're doing this on the podcast. All right.
On the podcast, Helen. Should I not do pre-merge?
Helen. I can't even picture Helen. 44.
Oh, that's correct. That was a guess. Not fair. White.
Dwight. I thought you just said white. I was like, I don't think that's a person. Dwight was 42.
43. All right.
Ah,
so if you
cool.
miss one more,
I'm not going to.
you're. Let's go with Tiffany. Tiffany was a bigger player. This should.
Who on earth is Tiffany?
she definitely made the merge. I know that much.
Who's Tiffany?
Got him.
No, I'm gonna get it. 40.
Chat, we got him.
Is it one of the more recent ones? No, it can't be. 45.
41. All right, my point is proven.
Who on earth is Tiffany? I think
she was on the Yellow Tribe, with Xander and who else was
I hated her.
Evie. Yeah, it's Tiffany. Okay, we gotta talk about our tribe here.
If you
Let's
had
talk
given me
about
pictures, I would have nailed it. You were cheating.
Okay, sure.
I'm gonna keep moving the goalposts, just so you know.
Let's talk about the Red Tribe.
Yeah, let's talk.
Was there more on the Yellow Tribe? I think we're good with the Yellow Tribe.
No, I think we're good there.
All right, the Red Tribe. Yeah, I mean, biggest storyline, Rome, just really confident in his ability to be on a Survivor podcast post Survivor. He thinks this season should be called what do you say? The Rome season or something?
Just don't say things like that. Like, just generally in life, don't say things like that. Is my take. It doesn't look good. Even if you're right, even if if the confidence is fairly there, just don't talk like that.
Yeah, no, I mean I agree. I mean he feels like the obvious bottom first boot, even though he has an idol.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it'll play out like that, but people just aren't vibing with him, despite him trying to pull Teeny in, and the first thing Teeny does is go like, nah, no.
Teeny getting caught and then being like, I can talk my way out of these things. Like, no, I don't think you can. You just happen to win again. Like, and she probably could have been fine, but I don't think Rome is going to ever trust her again. That's outrageous to get caught showing somebody something like that.
Yeah, that was, I mean, the funniest way you could possibly be caught too.
Oh,
It's just like completely caught out of nowhere. I love that for her. I really do. Because I do think she needs a little more adversity in this season because it feels like everyone is
Mhm.
like Teeny. Rome's like,
Yep.
I want to work with Teeny. That's the one. So like, I'm glad that now she has a little more, Um, I think she'll be okay probably because it seems like
Mhm.
she's got the numbers and Rome doesn't have much social capital with people.
Nope. But that's really all they showed us from that tribe. The entire episode was Rome being a little cocky, and then him telling Teeny and her getting caught. Was there really
Yeah.
anything else?
No, there literally wasn't else. I think that's the main storyline. Like we said, Genevieve did not get a single confessional. Aisha got one. Soul, remember Soul? He's on the season. He got a
Mhm.
confessional. I don't remember what it was, but he got one. So I don't know. I think Red Tribe is something we got to figure out because I got nothing on them.
So Rome has his idol for 3 tribals right now, right?
Yes.
Or is he going for a 5th? Going for a full idol or whatever?
I don't know. I don't remember if he made that decision yet.
I think since it says he has it, he just has the 3-day one. Sam
Okay.
just was like happy to just chill with the one use
Yeah, I
or
think
one tribal
especially
one.
since everyone knew about it.
Which when you have 4 out of the 5 people on your tribe on your side, you can easily just like get a more powerful idol. But maybe he's going through the process that it's not like you might as well use it quickly, and so it's not a threat.
That was kind of my take. I
Mm-hmm.
assumed that's what he meant when he said that, where it's like I'll just use it for one tribal. Everyone knows I have it. I'll use it. We'll be done.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess
Yeah, I got
fair.
nothing else for the red tribe.
All right. Well, anything more on the season at all? You want me to just name off other players from early force?
I
No,
do want to play
we're
that
done
game
with
once
that.
we get off of this, but I don't want to subject our listeners to that.
All right. When we stop recording, we'll do it one more time. I think next week we are going to draft players for the season. We like to wait a couple weeks because it is just impossible to know who on Red is going to go far in this game, if anyone. So by next week, we will each pick. I think last year, did we do 5 players? I think we might
Yeah, I
have.
think so.
Okay, so we'll get 5 players each of the remaining people, and that'll be fun. As of now, I have no idea what I'm going to do, so hopefully next episode gives me great
I have a
insight.
strategy that I'm just going to dominate and win.
I kind of dominated last season. Remember that?
No, doesn't ring a bell.
Like it wasn't even close.
Nah, it doesn't sound
I'm
right.
just gonna say that right now. Yeah, but we'll see. All right. Well, that's it for Survivor 47. For more episodes, visit notgameallpersonal.com. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube at NGAPpod. That's at NGAPpod. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere listen to podcasts. Really, I'm Nathan. This is Tony. We will see you next week.
14 seasons, 2 pals, 1 podcast.